Hello, jazz players. This is the last video in our 5 areas of jazz study series. We started with an introduction and we talked about each of the 5 areas, and now this is a summary where we're going to talk about how to put it all together. The most important thing I want to say first, as part of the summary, is that in these 5 areas, they're not sequential, okay? So we're not saying that you have to do listening first and then do some technique and then do some language like that. That's not how this works. We're actually doing all of them all the time, okay? But the flip side of that is that we're not doing them all the time at the same time. So I know that's a little confusing. So let's talk about how to pull that off. So let's say first that you're going to be doing skills and technical stuff as part of your routine, your daily routine. Now, your daily routine should be exercises and stuff like that that you do on a daily basis, things that make you a better player. And that's really what the technical stuff is anyway. So your scales and your arpeggios and technical patterns, all right? That stuff should be stuff that you do on a daily basis and is separate in terms of the part of your day, is separate from the other 4 areas, okay? But with the time that you spend on those other 4 areas, you don't want to try to split it. Let's say you have an hour. You're not going to do 15 minutes of listening, 15 minutes of language, 15 minutes of tunes, and 15 minutes of improv. That's not how this works. That's not what I'm trying to say. The 5 areas just means you want to click off each of those areas sort of in a cyclic pattern. Focus on this for a while, then focus on that for a while. So if you have an hour to dedicate to your jazz, and you say, I'd like to do a transcription right now, do a transcription for a whole hour. Don't try to split it up. You'll get more out of it if you focus on that one thing for a while. Now, that doesn't mean thou shalt not do something else also. I'm just saying, we're not saying there's a rule you have to do all of it every day, okay? But we are constantly pushing all 5 of those areas forward as our career goes forward. All right? We don't want to let one of them go months or years without being addressed. For that, I like to use what I call a um, rotation system, right? Have a little grid with the 5 areas on it. And when you've spent time doing listening and you finish a transcription, or you did like 8 hours of listening to CDs, or you've gone to concerts, then check that box. Then go to the next box, the language box. Let's say you decide you want to run a 2-5-1 lick or a jazz phrase in every key. Do that and then check that box off. Then go to the tunes. Now you want to learn a tune. Learn that tune. Check that box off. Then you want to do something with the improv. Go to the improv. Do something in that area. Check that box off. All right? So I think that kind of rotation system helps you keep all of it going simultaneously, even though you're not doing all of it every single day. I hope that makes sense. Now, really, the grid list shouldn't be 5 areas. Like I said, the scales and the technique stuff should be kind of separate of that. But yeah, we want to have those 4 areas on a rotation system. Spend some time on that. Spend some time on that. Spend some time on that. But it's what I think what I'm trying to say is finish what you're doing first, then go to the next thing. And it doesn't matter if one thing takes longer than the other. It's all making you a better player. So you don't have to be as nitpicky about it as that. Okay. Now, I want to also point out that many of the things that you practice overlap. So, for example, the listening, the ultimate form of listening is doing a transcription. Let's say from the transcription that you do, you find a lick that you want to learn. Well, now it's become language. So it started in listening. Now you have language coming out of the transcription. And you're going to practice that in every key. And now you have your language area. Then you want to learn a tune. Well, what's wrong with learning the tune that you just did the transcription of? So transcriptions also fall in the tune category. Now, I'm not saying that transcriptions are enough to cover all those three areas, but there is a lot of overlap between them. Same thing with the scales, same thing with the tunes, same thing with the improv. All of this stuff is interconnected. But I do believe that when we do all 5 of these areas, you become a more complete player. I was going to say whole, but whole, complete, I think that both of those words work to describe the kind of jazz player you would become. All right? I think that's it. I'm looking at my list over there, and I've finished the list. So that's what I have for you. This 5 areas is extremely important, I believe. The people who just focus on one or the other are not complete players. There's always something missing, something not quite right. And for me, it's become, now in my old age, it's become a bit uncomfortable to listen to that stuff. When I hear it, I'll listen because that's my job to listen, but I won't continue listening, if that makes sense. So if a new player comes out, I will spend the time and listen to the new player. But if I'm hearing that it's not complete like that, it's not as enjoyable for me. And so yeah, that's when I would choose not to listen anymore. So I do believe this is important. And if this is the first of this series that you've watched, then you can go to, and it's going to be right here, you can go to the playlist and listen and watch these videos in the order that they're really meant to be in, because I go through them in order. Just remember that it's not, in terms of how you practice, that order is just a theoretical order and has no effect on what you practice in what order, okay? All right, so that's what I've got. If you've got any questions about any of this stuff, please feel free to ask me down below, or you can go to my website at eddielewis.com. And if you have comments, because I know I'm very different with this stuff, if you have comments and want to vent your frustrations with what you've heard, then go ahead and do that too. I don't mind. All right? All right, that's it. God bless you, and I will see you on the next video. Oh, do you know what? I forgot one thing. This is not the end of the jazz stuff. This is just the introduction to my way of teaching. What follows this is more detailed videos on jazz improvisation. But you put a frame around it when you learn about my 5 areas. Learn the 5 areas, then the other stuff I teach you through these videos will make more sense, all right? That's the other thing I meant to say, and I forgot to write it on my list. All right, that this is not the end, this is the beginning. Many, many more jazz videos to come, okay? All right, God bless you. See you on the next one.